Ruchim Aboyim once again to Project Melukat, the project which was started Li Nishmas, Harav Michal Akiva Gershon ben Rafal Mנחem נחum, Rabbi Akiva Wagner, Olav Sholem. And with this project, the people have the ability to go through the entire Sefer Maamorim Melukat, the Rebbe's Mugadik Maamorim. As a Talmid of Rabbi Wagner, it is a tremendous schus to be able to participate in this project. Today we are going to be learning the Maamar Dibra Maschul Bila Hamaves Lanetzach. This Maamar is printed in Sefer Maamorim Melukat, Chelek Beis, and a little bit about the history of the Maamar. The title of the Maamar is Bila Hamaves Lanatzach, which is a pasuk where the Navi Yeshaya speaks about the time of Mashiach, that there will be no longer any more death in the world. The Rebbe said this Maamar on Hey Menachemov Tavshin Chaf Hey. Hey Menachemov is the Arizal's yard site, but the reason the Rebbe said the Maamar because it was the Siyum HaKadosh of Rebbe Tzimchana Aleh Sholem. Rebbe Tzimchana was nostalgic on Vav Tishrei Tavshin Chaf Hey. So 11 months later was Hey Menachem Av, because it was an Iber Yor. And the Rebbe was Magia the Maamar in honor of the Shloishim of Rebbe Tzimchaya Mushka. Rebbe Tzimchaya Mushka passed away, was nostalgic Chav Beis Shvat Tavshim Memches. So 30 days later, the Rebbe was Magia this Maamar in honor of Rebbe Tzimchaya Mushka. In addition to the importance of learning the Rebbe's Maamorim in general, this Maamar specifically has an additional specific and powerful message, because this Maamar is also a Maamar which Rebbe speaks clearly about Inyanim of Gula and Mashiach. When the Rebbe initiated the campaign and told us the importance of learning about Gula Mashiach, as that is the derech yeshara, the direct path to bring Mashiach, the Rebbe said if you really want to get into it, you should learn the Maamorim and the Kutei Siches of Nesidei Reinu. It's not enough to learn in general the Torah about Mashiach, which is obviously very important. It's not even enough to learn the Siches, where the Rebbe explains the Rambam and other Tkufos about Mashiach. You also have to learn the Maamorim of Nesidei Reinu about Mashiach. The reason being, L'fiani is daiti, because while the Siches will explain to you the halachic status and the Gedorim and the world the way it's going to be in Yemois HaMashiach and the Geder of the Emunah and Bias HaMashiach, the real inyan of Mashiach is Gili Erein Soif, like we're going to be explaining in this Maamar. And if you want to tap into the Or of Mashiach, which is the Emes of Mashiach, that's explained in the Maamorim. So with this introduction and understanding, so we're going to give everyone today an overview of the themes of the Maamar. It's not a very long Maamar. It's Sachakel 5 oisius. It's not a very difficult Maamar, but it's a very, very geshmake Maamar. As I mentioned previously, the Maamar is miyusid on a pasuk in Yeshaya, where the Navi tells us, Bila Hamaves Lanatzach, Hashem will swallow up death forever, and Hashem is going to erase the tears from all the faces. In other words, no longer will there be any sorrow, any negative events that will be a cause of grief. But from then on, is only going to be Bila Hamaves. There's not going to be any more death. All those which have passed away will come back, and all the Yidden that will be living in the times of Mashiach are going to attain Chaim Nitzchi. So in the first ois, the Rebbe is magder, how are we supposed to understand death bichlal? Most people don't think about death so much. What I mean they don't think about passing away, but more important, they don't really think about what caused death. We have lived in the Gaulah so long, and the world has existed so long, that people are born and people pass away. Sometimes we have to contemplate as the source of why death is in this world in the first place. We know that initially when Hashem created the world, the idea was that people should live forever. It was only after the Chet Eitz Hadas, when Adam and Chava, they ate from the Chet Eitz Hadas, so Hashem warned, and Hashem said, you better not eat from the Eitz HaChaim, because if you're going to eat from the Eitz HaChaim, so therefore, B'chai La'olam, you're going to live forever. Hashem did not want people living forever, and therefore, he stopped them from eating from the Eitz HaChaim, and with the Chet Eitz Hadas, death came into the world. Now, a lot of people look at it as a punishment. Hayois that the Adam and Chava ate the Eitz Hadas. Therefore, Hashem punished us. Now, we know with the Eibishter that the punishment has to fit the crime. That there's something about the Chet Eitz Hadas which brings about Misa in the world. Hashem didn't just react or overreact and be vengeful. In addition to that, by the Eibishter, everything is l'tzoyrech aliyah, everything ein ra yored mumaylo. That there must be also a positive component to this punishment. There's something that the Eibishter wanted to attain, and the Eibishter brought that out through the Misa in this world. And the Rebbe explains a very important yesod, and that is that, first of all, every chet, every aveda, is really maves ruchni, because chayis is in kedusha, and when someone goes heipech hakdusha, when someone is over ritzoni is bored, so he's being mechaya the klipa, and he's bringing misa into the world. He's bringing misa into the world. So hayois that the first chet brought mavis ruchni into the world, spiritual death into the world. So therefore, it comes from there that there's going to be also physical death in the world. But there's something even deeper than that. And that is, we have to really understand what took place when Adam and Chava ate from the Chet Eitz Hadas. You know, we don't think about it so much. Person did an Aveda, like what went on in the real world when the Chet happened. And what happened was, the Chet did not create Ra in the world. There was Ra in the world when the Eibishter created the world. But what did happen? Before the Chet, the Ra and the Toiv were not Ma'uriv. They were not connected. They were not intertwined. They had their own realms. There was Toiv, there was Ra. However, once the Chet entered the DNA of the first man and woman, it brought about a taruves toiv ra ba'olam. All of a sudden, the Aveda became part of Welt. Ra and toiv now became ma'uriv. Now, if Hashem allows Adam and Chava, and by extension, humankind, to live forever, what happens is that the Ra, which has now become an integral component of our DNA, and not just DNA, the fabric of the world, that also lives forever. And that can't be, because we have to reach a point of an olam that's kulei toiv. And therefore, in order that Ra should not live forever, Hashem brought about Misa in the world. When there's Misa in the world, in other words, there's a finality, there's an end to any existing Ra. And then when Mashiach comes, after everyone has Misa, which we'll talk about later in the Maamar, so the rebuilt and the renewed world after the Misa of everyone and everything, that is able to be a world of Kulei Toiv. So when you look at it that way, that in Yemois HaMashiach, Hashem wants a world of Kulei Toiv, and therefore there has to be Misa in the world so that the Ra should not be Nimshah. So then it's not just a punishment. Oh, you did an Aveda, you're getting Misa, you're getting death. Hashem is making sure he's putting the mechanisms in place that we can have an oilam shekulei toy. We have a world that's only good. Now, what brings about the Bitul Hara? In other words, now that we understand that the Misa, Gashmis in the world, is really an extension and a expression of the Misa Ruchnius of the Ra, so by extension, the only way to get rid of Misa is about way of getting rid of the Ra. So how do we get rid of Ra? How does this work? So the way you get rid of Ra, and this is what the Maamar is show, is when there is a Gili or Elyon, when there is a high level of Gili Elikus. So by definition, when you have a high-powered light, so it dispels a lot of darkness. If miut or if a little light could dispel darkness, how much more so a ribi or? In other words, the bitul hara that's in the world, when you want to get rid of ra, really starts with how much there is in the world. And the Rebbe brings a muscle of the time of Shlomo Melech. Shlomo Melech, everyone looks at it as a time of the most doime, most comparable to Yemaisa Mashiach. We had a Beis Hamikdash. There was Shalom Haya B'Yamav. There was peace in the world. And all the Goyim came and they were in this battle to Shlomo Melech without war. We know the queen of Sheba, she came to Shlomo Melech and they were battle themselves to Shlomo. They brought presents to Shlomo and they brought presents to the Beis Hamikdash. The Yidden were reigning supreme without war. It was a time where they recognized the Chachma of Shlomo, which was really because at that time there was a Gili or Elyon. You had the Bayis Rishon. You had such a matziv of Or Elyon in the world that the Ra on its own had nothing to stand on. It disappeared. Now, obviously, it didn't disappear completely. V'harai, as proof that after Shlomo Melech, all the issues came back. It's evident that the Ra only went to sleep. In other words, it was obviously a very high level of Ur, but not high enough and not intense enough that it was mevatel the Ra bakoil mikoil koil till the end. It really, really, really had it down and it would put it to sleep. But sleeping is not dead. And therefore, after a while, it was able to come back. In the time of Gilei Ur Mashiach, there's going to be a higher and more intense Gilei Ur Elyon in the world, which by extension and by definition will not only put the Ra to sleep, it will be mevatel the Ra completely. How could we understand this in our avodah? Where do we see such differences in avodah and avodah pratis of a person? Well, let's look at the difference between a tzaddik gomer, a tzaddik sheni gomer. Most of us are hoping just halavai beinani, but in the world of the tzaddik, when we learn Tanya, we know that the tzaddik gomer has such ava to Hashem that he's poshet moyis bara. He doesn't just not do bad. He doesn't just not think about bad. Bad and evil and avedis get him nauseous. He's sickened by Ra. It's disgusted by Ra. Someone that gets nauseous from evil, it's not pshat, he's not doing evil. Evil is not existent in their world. It's out of their bloodstream completely. He's nauseous by Ra. The tzaddik she'eni gomer, he's a tzaddik, means a machshava, dibur, ma'isa, seichel midas. He really, really reached a shleimus. But he's not yet completely disgusted with Ra. Why is that so? Because the Ava obviously is not 100%. The more you love something, the more you're disgusted and you hate something which is against the one that you love. If you have a friend, such a good friend, a regular friend, and someone is in a fight with your friend or someone fights with your friend, you don't feel a dual allegiance. You can really dislike the other person, but so on. that gets someone that you love intensely, and emetz a chepet, and someone has a isnagdus to that thing or that person that you love on such a deep level, that other person not only is not in your world, it's nimas, it's disgusted. If that person tried to hurt or tried to kill the person that you love with such ava, you are nimas, you're disgusted. There's a hate, so to speak, to that person which fought against the one that you loved. Based on that ava, the more and complete the ava is, the deeper and more intense the mios of the hepech is. And therefore the tzaddik gomer, who has the ava, complete ava to the Eibishter, so the ra by him is eradicated completely to the extent of mius. And that's al derech the difference in the time that it was by Shlomo HaMelech and the time of Yemais HaMashiach. Shlomo HaMelech was a great Gilior, like the Tzaddik Sheni Gomer, and therefore the Ra was like asleep. But Epe, somewhere deep down, it wasn't complete. It wasn't the Shlomo Sagila, like the Tzaddik Sheni Gomer doesn't have the complete Av. And therefore, to a certain extent, there's still an Asinas Mokim, it's still possible that this evil can come back. Varai and Shlomo HaMelech, after many years, it did. In generations. In Yemais HaMashiach, there's no coming back because it'll be eradicated completely, like the Tzaddik Gomer, where there is no Ra, no Afsharis Ra, and there's a Mios Bera. It's over. It's over. And because the Ava is so great, the Gili that's going to be in Yemais HaMashiach is going to be so great that it will not leave any room for any Afsharis, for any possibility of any Ra at all. Now we know, the Alter Rebbe teaches us in Tanya, that Kol HaGiluyim Dil Asid, everything that's going to be Nisgal in Yemais Mashiach, is totally in the Avodah Bizman Hazeh. It doesn't just mean like the simple touch, that we do mitzvahs, and our mitzvahs bring Mashiach. That's the way most people understand it. See, this gives us a much deeper understanding, and that is that not only do our mitzvahs bring Mashiach, but if we know a certain Giloy that's going to happen in Mashiach, we have to do an avoid in the time of Golos, which is comparable to that Giloy, and in the merit of our avoida, which is comparable to that Giloy, that is mamshich, that Giloy in Yemais HaMashiach. It's the avoida, for example, there's Tchias HaMesim, and there's the avoid of Tchias HaMesim Bizman HaGolos. You have the famous Hayin Yoin, where it says when the seichel, which is kar, which is dead because it's like cold, gets inspired in seichel aliki, that's like chias hamesim beruchnis. There's always has to be a avoida ruchnis, which is mamshir the gilei of Mashiach. Now, according to this, what we explained earlier, that the gilei of Mashiach is in the world is comparable to the avodas hatzadikim gemurim in their own avodah. So it comes out that the real Bila, Hamaves, Lanatzach should only be for those which did the avodah of Tzaddik Gomer. But we're saying Bila, Hamaves, Lanatzach is going to be for everybody in the entire world. And in the time of Golos, how many tzaddikim gemurim are there? Rosh and Muatim. So how can we all be zoich to the concept of Bila Hamaves in the entire world if the entire world can't do the avoid of the Tzaddik Gomer of Bila Hamaves, of getting Mois Bera? And our Rebbe, this is such Berachma Vagdoil. So you could see that the Rebbe is like fighting Nomaila, that should be Niskayim, B'cholechot Ve'echot. The Rebbe says a fascinating thing. And that is that while it's true that cannot always, most Yidden can't reach such high levels, there are moments of inspiration in a person's life. There's a certain moment of emes, where emes light, where in that moment we are nis'ala, we reach a stage, the Ra is nauseous to us. Maybe that passes very quickly. But there are those moments of divine truth, not just inspiration, of divine clarity, in which our connection to Hashem and our avet to Hashem is at its pinnacle, at its height, that we truly say to ourselves, we hate anything that's against the Eibishter. Now, the Eibishter grabs those moments, and in Shemayim, every mitzvah and every hidur tshuva, and every one of those moments are nitzchi, are everlasting. And these moments, one or two moments of a person's life, create a nitzchiistic avoid of tzaddik gomor in Shemayim, which allows that Bila, Hamaves, Lanetzach should happen for every single yid, for the whole world, for Klal Yisrael and the entire world. Now, according to this, we could understand why even tzaddikim have to pass away, even though they didn't do Avedas. But because the Eibishter wants Ra to be eradicated completely, so therefore, the only way that can happen is if every guf passes away. Now, once again, in this Maamar, the Rebbe is mechadish something which is very, very important. And this is the Orah 36, which really, really is demanded that we understand it, and it's really, really amazing. Once again, the Rebbe wants to save us from any type of discomfort. And the Rebbe says, you know what? I'll even give you a way out of Maves Gashmi. According to this, everyone is destined to die. So everyone is in their head, everyone has to pass away. Says the Rebbe, there is an avoida of Maves. And if you do that avoida of Maves, so then you don't have to do the Maves Gashmi, because you can get rid of the Ra, the Maves Ruch. And that is the avoid of nafshi ka'ofar lakol tiyah. Al derech we find, even in halacha, that misa, someone that's an ani, nikra meis. Someone that's blind, nikra meis. You could be a meis, like it says in the parsha, that Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, that Dasan and Aviram, those that want to kill you, they died. You don't have to worry, you can go to Mitzrayim. But Dasan and Aviram were chavekayim. Rashi says that they were yorad, they lost their money. They were yorad, and therefore they were nikraim kimesim. When we do the avoid of nafshi ka'ofar l'kol tiyah, then we don't even have to have the Maves Gashmi, because we did the avoid of misa, and by doing that avoid of misa, that enables everyone to actually live begashmias and be zoiche to the birur of the Ra inside of them, and live straight into Yemois HaMashiach. This that there's going to be Misa in Yemois HaMashiach, so that's not going to be for Yidden, that's going to be for Bnei Noach, and even them, it's on a whole different avodah. So let's finish off with the Rebbe's words at the end of the Maamar. All these inyanim of Misa being this battle and the Gili Or Elyon in the world should actually be in this world. The Gula Amitis Vashlema Ide Mashiach Tzidkenu, that should be Bekorev Mamish.